We're now in a new section in our AutoCAD 2017 Essentials course. And what we're going to look at is attributes and tables. Now, we'll look at the AutoCAD tables later on in the section, but what we're going to look at first are attributes. Now, the actual lines and circle here represent a setting out point on a surveyor's drawing. And what we're going to do, we're going to place everything on layer 0. So go to the Home tab on the ribbon and make sure that your current layer is 0 there in the pull down menu. And we're preparing to make a block that represents a setting out point. And in that block, we're going to add some AutoCAD attributes. Now, AutoCAD attributes can be attached to any AutoCAD block. They can also just be used as attributes in a drawing. But obviously, what you want to do is make sure they're on layer 0 so that when you create the block, when you bring the block into the drawing, it adopts the current layer settings. So we have these lines and the circle. What we're going to do now is go to the Insert tab on the ribbon. And as you can see now, in the block definition dialog, there is a Define Attributes command. Click on that, and it will open up the Attribute Definition dialog box. Now, in this drawing and in this video, we're going to set everything up to create the block. Then in the next video, we will create the block, and I'll show you how to edit the attributes when they're within the block. So you can see there, I can have an invisible attribute if I want, or a visible attribute by unticking it. The only two I ever really use here most of the time for attributes are invisible, on or off, like that, and the lock position. Now, if you lock the position of your attribute, it'll stay in the same place on your block, even if you explode it back to the attributes and the lines and the circle. The insertion point, I'm going to tick the specify on screen, because I want to specify a point on screen. I don't know the X, Y, and Z coordinates. Now, attributes always have a tag, so I'm going to type in there SOP_NO. That stands for Setting Out Point Number. And then the prompt that goes in the dialog box that prompts you for the value, you will put SOP, and then the actual word number, like that. And I always put a question mark, because it's asking a question. It's prompting you, what is the SOP number? And then you'll have a default value in the input box, something like SOP-XXX, because you don't know the SOP number yet. And then the text of the attribute behaves just as any other piece of single line text would. So I'm going to set up a justification to the right, because I want it at the right hand end of the line. The text style, I'm just going to use the standard text style, the bog standard text style that comes with this drawing. I'm not going to make it annotative. And then the text height here, I'm going to make that 250 millimeters high, because I'm working in a metric drawing and I'm in the model space. So everything needs to be full size. And then the rotation is going to be 0. I want it horizontal. So I click on OK now, and there's my attribute floating around, my SOP_NO. Now it's asking for the start point of the text of the attribute, where it's going to go. Don't worry that the crosshair is on the left-hand side of the text, but you've set the justification to right. AutoCAD knows to justify it to the right. Now make sure that your object snaps are on. And you'll notice that we've got two horizontal lines. You need the endpoint on the right-hand end of the upper line. So you're going to go to this endpoint here, the upper one, and click, and it will place that nice and neatly on that upper line, justifying it from the right-hand side. Now, we don't actually need this line anymore here. So I'm going to remove it. I'm going to click on it, and I'm going to remove it. So I'll just hit the delete key there and lose that line. Now, the reason I've done that is because the attribute text is now just above that horizontal line. Now, what we do for the invisible attribute now is we go up here to the Home tab, and I'm going to offset that horizontal line again, and I'm going to use a value of 50. Now, it's already remembered it from the last offset that I did, so I just press Enter there, or type in 50 and press Enter. I select this line here, click on it, and move downwards. Make sure that you go downwards and click again, and there's your offset. Press Enter to finish the offset. Now, what we're going to do this time is we're going to place the text down below. So I need top right this time. Can you see? Because this text here is to the right. So I need another attribute. So I go back to the Insert here, Insert tab on the ribbon, Define Attributes. This time it's going to be invisible. And I'm going to lock the position, specify on screen. Tag this time will be SOP type. And the prompt will also be SOP type with a question mark, and the default in this case will be circle, like that. Justification this time will be top right, because we want it to the top right on the end of that line. And again, remembers the 250 for us, remembers the rotation of 0. Now, we can align it below the previous attribute definition if we want to. Now, I'm not going to do that because it will line it in, but it might not line it in with our horizontal line. So I click on OK, and I go over here now. And again, can you see the crosshair is on the left? I use that endpoint there, and I click there. And can you see it's lined it in nicely, and it's lined it in with that offset line. So we click on that line there, and again, delete it. And can you see now that our SOP type is just below the line? And the reason I've done that is just so the text isn't sitting on the line in the block. So what you want to do now is you want to save what you've done so far, and then make sure for the next video you've got everything set up the way that we have here.